And good morning, and welcome to another edition of Telling It Like It Is. My name's Ralph Williams, and my co-host Leo Haggerty. Leo, welcome to the program. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back with you, Ralph. I enjoy our Saturday morning chit chat, and I'm doing
Oh
it
yeah,
from the blustery, cold state of Wisconsin today, up in Osceola, Wisconsin, visiting relatives. And I'll tell you what, Ralph, it's cold. I'll be honest with you.
I
I've been
bet
in
it
Florida
is,
way
man.
too
I
long.
bet it is.
It's cold.
We've been lucky here so far. We haven't had too much cold. We're supposed to be getting something on Monday. So we'll see what goes on here. Weather can be a little tricky here in Pittsburgh. Sometimes we get good weather, and then we get the next day it's cold, and the winter time can be, kind of tricky here. That's why everybody has colds, because of
Yeah,
that. Anyway,
absolutely.
Leo, let's get started with the show. It's brought to you today by First Line Consultant Services Studios. We're in the studios here in Studio 808, which is now the First Line Consulting Services Studios, 1-877-926-6982. Call them today for your website needs. You need a website, they'll build it, they'll manage it, and they'll upload all your videos. They'll do it all for one low monthly price. First Line Consulting Services. Their number is 1-877-926-6982. All right, Leo, let's get started here. Rosalind Carter passed this past week. It was tough for Thanksgiving for the Carter family. What do you know about Rosalind Carter?
Well, I'll tell you what a gracious first lady. She was as southern as you can get, Ralph. Just a perfect match for Jimmy. And again, not a lot of people know this, is Jimmy Carter went to the Naval Academy and he was in submarines. So, he was a pretty smart guy. And he had known Rosalind almost 100 years. When you think about it, he was a couple years older. He was there. His mother babysat Rosalind when she was a kid and everything. So, yeah. And you know what, Ralph, I hate to say this, but I don't expect Jimmy to live much longer because now,
No.
he's basically, and I saw that with my mother-in-law and father-in-law. She passed and then he went within 6 months. I mean, they had spent 67 years together. The Cardis
Yeah.
have spent like, almost like 80. So yeah,
Right.
I think he was holding on himself just to, take care of her and everything. So, now basically, hey, like they told my dad, seaman, rest your oars because now, you can sail off into the sunset.
Yeah. Well, one other thing too, Leo. I had the same situation here. Do you remember Franco's Italian Army?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know the Vento family, Al Vento. Okay. And when he died, or when his wife died, they were married 66 years.
Oh my.
And about, I'd say probably 2 months, 3 months later, he died because he, was heartbroken, and,
Yeah.
he got sick. And I went to both of their funerals, and I got to meet Rocky Blyer, Franco Harris,
Mhm.
while I was there because they were close friends of the Ventos,
You,
Franco's
you know
Italian
what?
Army.
You know what, Ralph? I got a chance to meet Franco Harris up close and personal. With he played at the high school down the road, and
Wow.
I got credit for a tackle of Franco Harris. What he actually did was he walked up my chest and fell over my face mask. So I'm
Wow.
telling you, hey, I tackled him, but it was like boom, 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 and fell down. I mean, I can remember watching a film of Franco in high school. They're playing. He was at Rancocas Valley, and
Uh-huh.
they were playing Cinnaminson. He goes 99 yards up the middle, and every one of the 11 Cinnaminson defenders had a shot at him. I,
Wow.
I turned to our defensive back coach, Bobby Mailer, and I said, hey, coach, how are we going to stop that? You know what he said? We're not.
What's that?
We're not.
Or
He,
not? Yeah.
and you know
That's
what? He may
that's
not have
pretty
been the
good.
best. He may not have been the best athlete in his family. His older brother Giuseppe was really good. So yeah. But Franco played uh, fullback. He played defensive end. He was a center on a basketball team, and he had a baseball we still haven't found. So yeah, he just a great athlete, and he and Billy Adams, one of my teammates, became really good friends. And Billy always said, if you see Franco, just yell Billy Adams, which I did. He turned around looking for him. So yeah, Franco, rest his soul, just a great individual.
We're the Hamas Israel truce. It's supposed to last 4 days. They're releasing prisoners, but they didn't release any Americans. Biden is pissed. What do you think this whole situation here is? Netanyahu going to set, kind of ease back a little bit, or do you think he's just going to continue to attack Hamas and we're going to have a war here?
Well, he's going to ease back for 4 days and see what happens. If he doesn't get all
Yeah,
the hostages back, but and you know what, Ralph, you can't fault the guy. He got attacked, and he wants to make sure it doesn't happen again. You know how the only way to happen it doesn't happen again is to wipe the guy out. So yeah, and everybody was talking about the hospitals. He was going at the hospitals and that. We
mhm,
saw during the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong put the SAM missile sites in the parking lot in front of the schools, in front of the hospitals. So, once
right.
they got bombed, everybody said, oh, well, you hit the school, you hit that. Well, guess what? They hit the target. Hamas was doing the same thing. They have tunnels underneath the hospitals, using basically human targets. So, Ralph, I hopefully Hamas releases all the prisoners, because if he doesn't, I think it's
It's going to
Israel's
get
going in.
worse because,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's going in. So yeah.
Yeah, he got kind of ignorant with the United States because Biden was trying to tell him, let's stop doing this and let's sit down and have some peace talks. And he made a comment, Netanyahu, that oh well, I didn't tell the United States what to do when 9/11 hit, and I didn't tell them what to do with when the Persian Gulf War. So why are you telling us what to do? And I don't know how that strained the relationship with us in Israel, and I know our relationship will always be strong. I just hope that this doesn't escalate into something else. They're attacking our troops in Iraq and Syria again, and it's going to be a situation, and I hope it don't turn into something huge more than what it is.
Yeah, as long as there's no American boots on the ground, we're still
Yeah,
good. But
we're
once
still
that
good. Yeah.
happens, we saw that result for sure.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so let's talk about today, Small Business Saturday around the United States. They're asking people to support small businesses. We have a lot of small businesses all across this country, Leo, that are going out of business. People shutting down. They either can't find employees or they're not making any money. We have that situation around here in Western Pennsylvania. What's your thoughts about Small Business Saturday?
Well, you got Black Friday, which is
Yeah,
basically the corporate part. Now you got Small Business Saturday, which makes a lot of sense, because
right.
you got to take care of the mom and pops. Because if you
Yes.
don't, if they go out of business, it's going to be like just a chain reaction, because okay, what's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? And Ralph, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's hard finding workers. People just
Oh,
don't
it's
want to work.
terrible out here.
Don't want to
I
work.
mean, we have a bunch of small businesses here that have had to shut down. I know a guy who had a business and he had to shut down. He's like in his 60s and 70s and he had to go back to work 14, 15, 20 hours a day because he couldn't get anybody to do anything. He just said, "You know what? I had enough. I'm done." It's bad. And then you got to pay these people top dollar. Let me tell you a little story here. I interviewed, I don't know if you know celebrity chef Brian Duffy. Okay. He's a celebrity chef. He was on Bar Rescue and he's on the Food Network. And I interviewed him on my one on one show. And I got to tell you, he told me this. He says, I don't eat at restaurants anymore, Ralph. I said, how come? He says, You're paying a cook $25 an hour and he's working like he's getting paid $10 an hour, which is what he was getting paid before he got $25 an hour. He said nobody's putting thought into food or anything. And I'm seeing that here with some of our restaurants here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and my daughter and son-in-law, they own a like a little Cheers thing bar down in Tampa,
Right,
and they got the same problems, trying to keep cooks, trying to keep bar backs, trying to keep servers, and it's
right.
just well, it's for some reason our younger generation thinks everything's a free lunch and a handout, and it just isn't. And
Well, that's
again,
the government's fault because they gave out all the things during COVID. and there should have been some limitations on that stuff. I mean, I know a guy who he's my sister's fiance. He don't work. He don't want to work. He sits at home and plays PlayStation and Xbox all day long. His car, he don't even use his vehicle. It's got weeds growing around it. So I mean, it's just that's all
It's
he
sad.
wants to
It's
do with his
sad,
life.
Ralph. It's
Yeah, it
sad.
is.
It's
It
just
is.
sad.
It's sad. Our society. This is the worst society I've seen in my lifetime, at
And
least.
and you know what, Ralph? I got in trouble with my teachers union because they wanted to forgive loans, and I said, okay, what are we getting in return? So what do you mean? So we're just going to forgive it. I said, no, 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 no. I said, how about all these people who before them paid everything back? They got nothing. You know what? If you want to forgive a loan, fine. Let's give me 20 hours a week. You know, uh, Going into
Working
a
at a food
hospital,
bank
going
or
into
something. Yeah.
school, doing something. But you know
Yeah.
what? I'm not just going to forgive a loan because no one put a gun to your head. No one sat there and said, okay, you've got to take this loan. You decided to do that and you agreed to pay it back.
Well,
Okay.
that's like student vouchers. They want to, here in Pennsylvania, they want to give out vouchers, but a lot of people don't want to pay. The taxpayers here, they don't want to pay for it because if you go to an underperforming school, Leo, and I know you were a former teacher, you go to an underperforming school, it's not fair that we have to pay for that child when the other child that's going to a better school, you know, can't get his voucher. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they only want to give it to the underperforming schools. But why don't you get on the school boards and the superintendent of these schools that are not uh, unperforming schools and get them performing?
Well, yeah. And you know what, Ralph? It goes back to one thing. It goes back to teacher pay.
Teacher,
And it
yeah.
goes it goes back to you can't find bus drivers, you can't find clerical, you can't find lunchroom
Oh,
boys
it's bad.
because school districts, for some reason, they don't want to pay people. You start paying people to get into the profession and to stay there, then you see your schools improve. But right now,
Yes.
Ralph, 50% of the teachers that start today by
Uh
the
huh.
fifth year will be gone. Will be gone
Oh
because
yeah.
of all the aggravation. So that's just crazy that that's happening.
All right, you ought to call Marta. Call Marta Heating and Air Conditioning today, 724-201-0500. I tell you what, winter's coming, folks, and you need to get your furnace fixed. And if you have not gotten it fixed, please call Marta today. Their number 724-201-0500. Humidifiers, service contracts, heat pumps, snow melts. Let's see here. Also, air cleaners, UV lighting, and a whole lot more. Give them a call today. Ask for Bill Mata Heating and Air Conditioning, 724-201-0500. You ought to call Mata. All right. Do you want your car professionally detailed and you don't want some it ball that doesn't has no idea how to detail in some little tiny garage? Well, call P6 Auto Detailing today in New Kensington. The 412-965-6578. Let the experienced professionals detail your car the right way. That that number again, 412-965-6578. P6 Auto Detailing. All right, Leo, we had to pay some bills here a little bit. And
Always
all
got to
right.
pay the bills, Ralph. Always got to
Oh,
pay
I
the bills.
know. Let's get into some sports here. We had some. We'll talk about college in a few, but we had some NFL games on Thursday. We had three: Packers, Lions, Commanders, and Cowboys, 49ers, Seahawks. Now, the Lions game, I took the Lions. I thought they were gonna slaughter Green Bay, but here the Lions had to play catch up and they couldn't do it because they ran out of time. It was just a game that was poorly played by Detroit, and by the time they tried to catch up, the Packers had won 29-22. What are your thoughts on this game?
You know what, Ralph? There was a huge play in that game where they called Jared Goff for a fumble when I thought it was a pass that was arm going forward. And here's the funny thing: if I was Dan Campbell, the question I would have said to the referee is, "How did that ball go forward if you said it wasn't in his hand?"
In his hand,
Because no
right?
one hit him. No one hit his hand. They hit his body, and the ball went forward. It went forward
Right,
like 10 yards. Okay, so where was it not in his hand? We'll say, well, he didn't control it. Well, what was controlling it then? It was in his hand. So,
right.
yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
was a really tough call for the Lions. But again, Ralph, let's go back to all three games. It's Thursday football, short
Oh
week.
yeah.
It's never good. Never,
No,
ever, ever
Cowboys
good.
40, Cowboys 45, Commanders 10. Ron Rivera, I'm reading reports, is on eggshells. I said he was on eggshells at the beginning of the season. He brought in Eric Bieniemy to fix his offense. He just fired Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator, as of yesterday. So, what do you think about the Commanders' future down the road?
Oh, he's done. And again, Ralph, the thing
Yeah.
you got to worry about is when the ownership group changes, you're not their guy. That's
Yes.
always the
They always want
situation.
somebody of their own. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not their guy, and that's the problem. That Ron Rivera is not their guy. So unless he wins big, which he hasn't, and again,
Right.
he's got a second-year quarterback.
Yeah.
Come on. The
Yeah.
problem
Well,
is
Sam Howell is not a bad quarterback. He's a gutsy quarterback. I watched him play in North Carolina, and I thought, you know what, Sam Howell's not a bad quarterback. But the problem is he got drafted in the late rounds in a bad draft class of quarterbacks.
yeah,
And but with Bieniemy there, I thought maybe he was going to do a whole lot better than what he has.
yeah. Well, and
And
they're
he,
probably in the
you know,
toughest division in the NFL. I mean, you got to play the Eagles twice. You got to play the Cowboys twice.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
that's
that's
no joke.
that's a meat grinder,
Yeah.
especially now because Eagles and Dallas are pretty darn good.
Well, I said this when the Seahawks lost their quarterback coach to go to Tampa to be the offensive coordinator. I said Geno Smith was going to regress. He got that big contract, and now he's regressing, and they're putting him on the bench. The Seahawks have got blown out by the 49ers here, 31-13. The Niners are moving on. As far as the NFC goes, do you think they're probably, other than the Eagles and the Cowboys, one of the three best teams?
Well, I, the whole thing about the NFL, Ralph, it's not for long. I still think that the Lions are going to be a tough out. You're going to have bad games. That's the
You
thing.
sound like Jerry Glanville. Not for
Yeah,
long.
not for long, baby. I remember him tell that official that, hey, you keep
Yeah,
making
he
those
said not for
calls.
long in this league, man. You make calls like that. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think the Eagles and the 49ers are at the top. Then a small step down to the Cowboys. And I'll tell you what, I put the Lions right on there with them because
Hmm.
nobody in the NFC South. You know,
No, no. I
Ralph,
I
he-
forgot
he-
about the Lions.
yeah,
So
here's what could happen this week is that if Tampa Bay beats Indianapolis and Atlanta beats New Orleans, you got three teams at 5-6, heading into the last six games of the season. Now, it's a track meet to get in. So,
right.
yeah, that's going to be crazy down there in the NFC South. The NFC North, you know what? Don't count the Vikings out. They're all of a sudden getting things together. If they get Jefferson back, the way
Uh-huh.
Dobbs is playing,
Right.
they're going to be okay. Now, let's shoot over to the AFC. Okay?
Okay.
Do not fall asleep on the Cleveland Browns or the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those
No,
two
the
teams.
Browns. I'll tell you what, the Browns actually, believe it or not, I'm going to say this. I can't stand the Browns, and I say always negative things about them. I always laugh at Kevin Stefanski, but I didn't laugh this past week when what he did against the Steelers. He had a great game plan. Him and Alex Van Pelt put together a great game plan. A reason why I know about Alex is because he played quarterback at Pitt,
Yeah.
and he was supposed to be Pitt's head coach. He didn't take the job. And then, now he's with the Cleveland Browns, and there's rumors circulating that if Pat Narduzzi gets fired after this bad season or something happens with him, they're going to pursue Van Pelt again to become the head coach at Pitt. But
Yeah, he was down here in Tampa for a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was. Yes, yeah, yeah. My question is how in the world did the Steelers let Stefanski and the Browns? They made too many mistakes. Pickett didn't have a good game. I have to give Stefanski credit because he didn't really, except for that one fourth down play, he didn't screw up the whole game. You know what I mean? He had to eat that one fourth down that he tried to go for. He had to eat it. But other than that, it was a good game plan by the Cleveland Browns. And what's funny about this is you might beat them the first time, but the second time they always come back because they have film on the game. They're like, oh, we made this mistake, that mistake, and this mistake. And you're right about Cleveland,
Yeah, and you
about
know
them
what,
as
Ralph?
well.
There's two things that travel in the winter and bad bad weather. That's a running game and a defense. And guess what Cleveland's got? A
A
running
running
game
game
and
and a
defense.
defense.
Man,
Jim
I tell you, that's
Schwartz,
that's
since
the
they hired Jim
yeah, and
Schwartz as defensive coordinator, their defense has been up there. You know.
yeah. And I'll tell you what, uh, the Eagles Chiefs game, you can't say the Eagles won that. The Chiefs lost it. And you know what, Ralph? I'm going to give my son Sean a lot of credit because he came up
Mhm.
with this very astute comment. He said, Dad, I haven't seen in all the years I've been watching football. He's 42, so we're talking 20 plus years.
Right.
Haven't seen as many catchable balls dropped in the NFL
In
and
the
in college.
NFL.
But think about
Yeah.
it, Ralph. We used to go through 2 and 3 games before we saw a drop pass. Now it's every game.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Oh yeah.
dropping a ball. I don't know what is going on, but that's crazy.
Yeah, we got the same problem here in Pittsburgh. I'm not happy with Deontay Johnson. We call him Deontay Dropson. So I mean, dropping balls all the time. We got guys, that doesn't help your quarterback when you do that.
No,
And that's, and
not at
that
all.
it doesn't at all.
And
Or when you
we're not
run the
talking.
wrong route or something. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just,
and we're not
so
talking about miracle catches. We're talking about just the catch where that's between the two numbers on your jersey right here. Put the thumbs together, boom, catch it, and they drop it. And that's you watch games this weekend, and you'll see at least one drop. It's crazy. So yeah. Hey Ralph, let's jump over to the college football because
yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I
I
got a
got
lot
an
to talk
interest.
about there too.
I
Hold
got
on a
an
second here.
interesting
Yeah.
scenario coming up. Now, there's 5 undefeated teams. Michigan and Ohio State, somebody's going to drop out there. It's going to be 4 undefeated teams. Now, here's the problem. If they get down there and Alabama beats Georgia,
Hmm.
and the other 3 undefeated, Florida State, Washington, they end up winning, right? They're
Right.
undefeated, boom, 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 right? Georgia gets beat. So you got Washington, you've got Florida State, and you got Ohio State or Michigan, all undefeated. I think the SEC may get shut out because I'll tell you what, Oregon's the best one-loss team going. Now they're going to have a second loss. So then who comes in? I think it's Texas because you can't put Alabama in over Texas. Texas beat them. They beat them at
Right.
Alabama. And you know what, Ralph? I automatically throw up a red flag when I'm doing this. And again, I'm sitting here and I'm politicking to get on this committee, college football selection committee, because they're
Oh, good.
terrible. They're terrible. The first
Yeah,
thing,
they are.
the red flag goes, you lose a home game. I'm throwing up the red flag right now. You're not in because you cannot lose a home game. That's it. You cannot lose 2 games. And again, that's what will happen with Oregon. They'll have 2 losses. But again, Texas is going to end up playing, I think it's Oklahoma. And the only Texas loss is Oklahoma on a neutral field. Texas may be that second best team. And you know what? They're going to try to sneak two SEC teams in. And they're going to try to sneak Georgia and Alabama in. And you know what? They're going to say, well, that's the eye test. You know what the eye test is? That means there's so many other things wrong. You're just saying, oh, we're going to let them in because that's who
We're
they
gonna
are.
let them in. Right.
Come on. Let's just stop this. So again, I think if anybody's undefeated, they're in. And they're trying to keep Florida State out because their quarterback got hurt. Hey, I'll tell you what, if they end up beating Florida at Florida and they end up beating Louisville in the ACC championship, that's 13-0. You're in. I'm sorry. I don't
Yeah.
care what you
Yeah.
say.
Exactly.
You got to go by the
Yeah.
record. So yeah,
Well,
that's
I hope Louisville. I mean, I like Louisville. I hope they don't lay an egg. They got one loss to Pitt this year, and I'm hoping that they do okay. They seem like a good football team. I like Florida State. I like Mike Norvell. I think he's done wonders with that team, considering what was there before.
oh yeah.
Uh, and then when we come back after I do this spot here, we're going to talk about some of the firings that happen in college football. All right, Fulton Travel Mobility. Are you handicapped disabled like I am? Are you in a wheelchair? Are you looking for a folding power chair? Well, guess what? I have the answer for you. Fold and Travel Mobility. Give them a call today, 1-877-GOTFOLD. And also on foldandtravelmobility.com, they have the best selection of folding power wheelchairs. I just got mine last week. So you know what? And I'm going to be enjoying it. And I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to be able to go places you can't go, like to a county fair or something, and you can't go in your regular wheelchair, or you have to go buy a trailer to go haul your scooter or your power chair around. Don't do that. Call Fold and Travel Mobility today. You get it all in one smack. Folding power wheelchair. And get this, they have great Black Friday sales. Give them a call 1-877 GOTFOLD or foldandtravelmobility.com. Tell them you heard it here on RW Media Productions, right here on Telling It Like It Is with myself and Leo Haggerty. I want to talk to you today about Sleep Pittsburgh. Sleep Pittsburgh is a company that has very affordable prices for mattresses. And I tell you, when it comes to sleep, Sleep Pittsburgh is king. Give them a call today, 412-462-7858, right on 8th Avenue in Homestead. And also, they have a website, sleeppittsburgh.com. Check out their inventory. You can order online, you can order on the phone, and no credit check financing. Check out their Black Friday deals and get ready to sleep better with Sleep Pittsburgh for the best sleep tonight. All right, Leo, we'll get back. Firings in college football. Jimbo Fisher, the guy from Mississippi State, a few other coaches got the boot. What are your thoughts on these coaches?
Well, I don't understand why you don't wait till the end of the season. I
Yeah,
mean, come on.
yeah,
All you're doing now is you're paying guy extra. And why, with 2 games left in the season, would you fire somebody? I mean,
I
just
know,
if you're going to
I
fire
know.
him, fine. The day after the last game, boom, you fire him. It's like
Right.
Black Monday in the NFL, right? Boom,
Oh
boom,
yeah,
boom.
Black Monday. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, here it comes.
Yeah,
And again,
yeah.
there's talk of Harbaugh going to the Bears. I think if Harbaugh goes anywhere, he'll go to the Raiders. That's just
That
me.
could happen. Yeah, Harbaugh
But
could do that. Yeah.
Antonio Pierce he ain't doing a bad job out there with the Raiders.
No,
So we'll see what
no.
happens there. But yeah, it makes no sense to pull a trigger on a guy. You know, two
Yeah.
3 games left in the season or 6. Come on, just
Yeah,
let it play out.
and then what that does is that makes the kids that are playing in the program go into the transfer portal. And
Oh
then you lose all your fine athletes. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
quickly.
I don't
But
know why Texas A&M, and I understand their point. He had 5-star recruits, Jimbo Fisher. I can't figure out how Jimbo Fisher could not coach with 5-star players at Texas A&M. I don't get it. And he's making a big dollar too.
well, yeah, think about it though. You get Alabama, you get Auburn, you get
Auburn.
LSU every year. I mean,
Yeah.
they're in the SEC West as opposed to Georgia, who's in the SEC least. I like to call it the Ivy League South because you know there's,
Almost
there's
like the
really
Pac-10. There's nothing left of the Pac-10 anymore. So
no. I tell
they're
you
all
that's
going in different directions.
and you know what,
So
Ralph? I'm gonna get up in my soapbox before we get off real quick.
sure.
Somebody needs to pick up Washington State and Oregon State. Somebody needs to pick them up. Either Big
Right.
Ten, the ACC, whatever. You can't leave them out in nowhere land, and that's ridiculous. I think the Big
Well,
Ten is a perfect fit.
Mountain West could pick them up.
Yeah, but that's you're going to
That's a
lose all your
crappy
players.
conference anyway. Yeah, that's a
They're
crappy conference. Yeah.
they're going to lose all their players. They're going to, Jonathan Smith is now being talked for the Michigan State job because hey, he he goes from a Power Five to Mountain West. Nothing against the
Right.
Mountain West, but you know what? Just you're going to lose players. You're going to lose
Yeah.
players. You're
Well,
going to lose them in a hurry.
I was kind of frustrated. I was hoping, Pat Narduzzi had a bad year with Pitt this year. He was the number one candidate in 2 or 3 reports that I saw in the top 5 guys that are supposed to be they're interviewing for Michigan State. And I hope Michigan State has enough brains not to interview Urban Meyer because I'm hearing he's going there too, and he's going here and he's going there. I hope nobody hires him. Let him stay in his little cocoon, at the analyst table because that's what he's good at right now. Let him stay there. He's a terrible
Yeah,
coach. He bows out every couple of years when the going gets tough, and stuff like that. And I think he's just,
and
he's not a
who's
good
always up
person.
for every, Ralph, who's always up for every job is Lane Kiffin. His
Yeah,
name just thrown out
yeah,
everywhere. So
yeah.
I'll
I'm
tell you what,
surprised he's
Ralph.
staying where he's at. I'm
Yeah,
really
he should.
surprised at him.
I
Yeah,
mean, Mississippi hasn't won 10 games in like he's won it 2 of the last 3 years, and they never won it
Yes.
beforehand. So yeah,
Yeah.
stay where you are. You're building something. Stay there. But hey, Ralph, it's 10 o'clock. I got to get off because
Oh yeah.
no,
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Go ahead and get off, Leo. Go do your thing there. Have a great day, and we'll see it. I'll talk with you next week, or I'll talk with you on Wednesday when you're on with Peter. If you're on with Peter on Wednesday.
yeah, I
So
just had a little throat issue this week, so couldn't get
Uh,
on. But I'll be back in Tampa where it's a little bit warm. So hey, Ralph, take care, and
all right. Say
I
hi
hope
to
you had a
Harry.
happy
Say
Thanksgiving.
hi to Harry the Greek for me too while you're down
I
there.
will do
You know.
that. Sorry. Take
All
care,
right.
buddy.
Hey, you have a great Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoy all the games, and we'll talk next week. Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
All right. That was Leo Haggerty, my co-host here on Telling It Like It Is. We're here every single Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. With me, Ralph Williams, and Leo Haggerty. Later on today, right after the Pitt football game against Duke, 20 minutes after that, it was going to be me and Smoking Jim Frazier, and we're going to be doing a Pitt post game. And I told everyone that I have a show called The Post Game, which means I could open up a post game for the Penguins, the Pirates, the Steelers, or the Pitt Panther football team. So we're going to be talking post game. Pitt, this is their final game this year against Duke. We're going to see what they do today. Mike Elko is up for a bunch of jobs. He has Duke right now at 6-5 and barely holding on by a thread to get into a bowl game. So I don't know what happened to his teams. His team. They were doing real good this year, and then all of a sudden end up 6-5. So I guess they lost a few games, made some mistakes. When you beat yourself, you know how that goes. All right. Some other announcements here. Well, first, I want to talk to you today about Bon Journey. Bon Journey is a local cover band that plays Bon Jovi and Journey music all over Western Pennsylvania. Next Saturday, they're going to be at the Lazy Chameleon bar and restaurant in Columbus, Powell, Ohio area. So check them out at the Lazy Chameleon next Saturday, December 2, December 16th at the Big Bar in Erie. Yeah, my second city, Erie. I love Erie. All right. And that's where they're going to be at a bar called the Big Bar. All right. So December 22nd, back home on site at Jurgles. That's basically where they mostly play at. They're going to be back at Jurgles in Warrendale, December 22nd. Check out Bon Journey. One of the best, if not the best, Bon Jovi and Journey cover band. Are you interested in some sponsorship advertising? Are you a business that's hurting? Are you a business that's kind of in the middle? Or are you a business that's up here? All right. My question to you is: do you want more customers? Do you need more business? Are you interested in seeing how much more you can get? All right. Look, everybody else is charging an arm and a leg. You have to go take out a loan to do advertising on. I offer radio, podcasts, national shows, and button advertising on the website. You get it all for one price. 6 months. Call 412-545-4317 or go on my email, ralphwilliams737 at gmail.com. I'm telling you, it's some great advertising. If you're a local business in Western Pennsylvania, I have a radio show on Beaver County Radio. I have 3 podcasts, or I have actually 4, and I actually have 5 altogether. But I haven't done Ralph Williams one-on-one in a while. But I'm getting it restarted this coming week. Okay, and so I'm going to be interviewing Joe Kuglis from the Draft 412. In fact, I'm dedicating this whole month to Draft 412 on Ralph Williams one-on-one. All right, .com, who happens to be one of my sponsors, and you need to call them today too. But I'll get to that later. But right now, if you're interested in some sponsorship advertising, that is a good price that you don't have to clear out your bank account. Call 412-545-4317. Or if you know somebody that's in business that needs a little bit of help, or somebody that's having issues with business, look, I can help you, but you got to make that call, or you got to email ralphwilliams737 at gmail.com, or 412-545-4317. Affordable sponsorship advertising. All right. I want to talk to you today about Hillcrest Farms in Richmond, Ohio. Hillcrest Farm, look, the holidays are coming up. How about getting a meat package from Hillcrest Farm? Let me tell you what they have. They have a variety box, $195. You get four pounds of burgers. You get 10 pounds of ground beef. You get 2 packs of filet mignon, 2 roasts, and 10 steaks. $195. Do you know you got these people? You got these pop-up meat companies that are everywhere. All right, and they pop up and they have this cheap meat or whatever. I paid the price recently of buying a seafood box from one of these places, and the lobster was bad. So I'm telling you right now, you need to call Hillcrest Farm in Richmond, Ohio. They have hay grain fresh beef right off the farm. 740-346-5442, 740-632-2894. Call them today. They also have an email address, which you may need to get in contact with them if you don't want to get on the phone. A lot of people don't anymore. Hillcrestfarmsohio at gmail.com to get directions. It's not. It's about right up the hill from Steubenville, Ohio. 45-minute drive from downtown Pittsburgh. So Hillcrest Farm, Richmond, Ohio. They also have a website you can order off of. www.hillcrestfarmohio.com. They'll ship it right to your house. Take the kids on a weekend excursion and go out to Hillcrest Farms and visit them up there. Say hello to Caitlin and Taylor, the owners. Tell them you heard it here. They have another package deal. It's a roast box, 7 roasts, 30 pounds of ground beef, $200. All right. And also, they have a ground beef box, $95 for 20 pounds of ground beef. You can't beat that anywhere. Hillcrest Farm, Richmond, Ohio. Don't delay. Call today. All right. I have some announcements to make before we go. Uh, Today, this afternoon, 20 minutes after the Pitt Duke game, myself, Smoking Jim Frazier, and I may add a few other people to the guest list. We're going to be on with a Pitt post game show today. Tomorrow, on Sunday, after the 20 minutes after the Steeler Bengals game, we'll be on. It's going to be my usual panel. Steve Spates. It's going to be Steve Spates, Bubba Brewer, and JT Toth from Draft 412. And also, it's going to be Smoking Jim Frazier and myself. So we're a big panel, great show, the post game show tomorrow as well, and today after the Pitt game. Also, I want to talk to you today about Draft 412. Speaking of them, Draft 412 is an e-magazine that you can get sent to your inbox for $9 a month, and they break down everything. They give you the skinny on all of all players involving in the NHL draft, the NBA draft, the baseball draft, the NFL draft. Anything that involves a draft, recruiting, anything like that. Draft 412 breaks it down for you, and they have some great people there. All right, that are handling this. JT Toth, Evan Mahan, Joe Kuglis, Dave Finoli, all right, who is a local author here that has several sports books that he's written over the years. So they have some great people on their staff. Uh, Andy or the Joey Davis. They have a lot of people on their staff that don't play around. This is for real. Draft412.com. Get their e-magazine in your inbox. $9 a month. That's all it is. Not that expensive. You don't have to break the bank, as I always say, for that either, or take out a loan. All right. Draft412.com. All right. Don't forget also Monday, 7 p.m., The Way We See It with myself, Ralph Williams, and Bill Canada. Tuesday, Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM, 12:30 a.m., live on Beaver County Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on the website and also on the phone app that you can download from your phone. All right. Also, www.rwmedia.org. You can also watch the show. No excuse. This Tuesday, we have Rick Moore from Amped Up Sports coming on to talk about the Arizona Cardinals. Steelers play them next Sunday. And then I have Matt Grubba coming on from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, our FSL soccer team here, who could have probably went to the championship. They blew it in the first round of playoffs. We'll talk to Matt and a whole lot more of the usual segments and everything else. Sports Corner Radio Show, Beaver County Radio, 5 to 6 p.m. every Tuesday till the end of the year. Then at the beginning of the year, we go 4 to 6 p.m. Thursday nights, Blog Talk Radio, 7:30 p.m. 347-205-9631. It is Wrestle Talk with me, Ralph Williams, Bubba Brewer, Smoking Jim Frazier, Mark Mancini. And then on Friday morning, this week we're on at 10:30 a.m. again. The External Boom podcast, JT Toth from Draft 412. Also, Scott Morganroth from the South Florida Tribune, Mark Mancini from Mancini Media, and myself, Ralph Williams from RW Media. We all are on that show, The External Bum. We talk about bums in sports and other sports topics as well. Don't forget, here every Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m., telling it like it is with me, Ralph Williams, Leo Haggerty. All right, folks, it's time to go home. It's time to get done here. I'll talk with everyone later on today, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter platforms. We will have the post-game show 20 minutes after the pit game. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll talk to you again. Have a good one. Thank you.